discussing. Uh, we're going back and we're thinking about what we'd tell our younger selves. We're at that point of life where we're thinking about that stuff. I'm here with Captain Blackburn, Joshua Blackburn. What are your should I be saying your credentials? Like, are you a?
No, no. This is not, I'm not. I'm not in any official capacity here. I have letters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what?
Okay.
I'm just a person.
We're not the type of people. I'm definitely not the type of people to put up, credentials. Not that I have any. I'm more of like.
I don't put them up in my office, other than the ones I'm legally required to.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh, I like that.
On purpose. Good. Yeah, because it's like, whatever.
Look who I am. Yeah.
And I get it. Like, there's one theory where it's like, well, you did this, you earned it.
Yeah, you want to create like a certain aura for the people that are listening to you if you're a counselor, but
right.
Doesn't that also tend to create a sense of distance too, right? Like, I didn't even like sitting behind a desk. I wanted to be.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean it frames the whole thing, right? I'm the expert, and you're, not. As opposed to a collaborative event where it's like, okay, I'm a person that knows some things about some things.
Yeah.
And then the other person is the expert on themselves.
Yeah.
Because trust me, no one else knows them better than them, except for maybe, obviously there's things that other people know about them that they don't know, but it's a co-constructed thing. It's collaborative.
Yeah. It is collaborative. And speaking of which, I thought today we would talk about marriage. We talked a little bit about kids last time. Right. What would you go back and say to your younger self about, marriage? Would there be anything that you would want to convey? We talked about, like, what advice would you give your younger self if you went back in time about your wife?
Well, I mean, those are two different topics. It's right about this person, right? About my wife,
or about your marriage.
Okay. Marriage, yeah. I mean, like that's I don't know, like what I would tell myself about my wife versus what I would tell myself about marriage would probably be different things.
Ooh, say more about that. Like, why? What is that difference there?
Well, my wife is a person. Yeah. Marriage is a relation. It's a very specific kind of relationship.
Right.
It's an endeavor, right? It's a project. It's a union of two people. It's like, we could say, like, ideally it's, a one flesh union. However, I think in practical terms, it often doesn't really work like that. It's what we're shooting for. Two people, one body. Okay. Right. But it's aspirational. But yeah, as far as like, this mystery that I live with currently.
Well, there's one particular thing. Yes, that's a great way to put it. That mystery that I live with. There is one particular thing that I would go back. See, I didn't realize. Someone once said, treasure your wife. She is like something like, she's your greatest gift. Marriage thrives on grace, not grit. And I think I kind of always saw it like more about grit, and it's not even grace. It's like, I don't know really what grace is. I mean, we could talk about that, but I think cherishing her, like, she made it very clear that she wanted to be cherished. And I think I went against that. I think I felt like you're forcing me to do this or something. I don't know. But the main thing I would say is I said this thing once or twice or three times. I like mumbled under my breath, "Why do you make my life so difficult?" And I was oh man, that
does make your life difficult. I don't know if it's more difficult than some other life you could be living, right? People are difficult.
Well, that's what I was sort of expressing. I was like,
Sure.
expressing that this
You're
is
difficult.
more difficult than I
I'm
thought
difficult.
it would be. And yeah, you know, in my family, it's interesting because like the whole family dynamics in our family, we express displeasure to each other, you know, and like that's, you know, I express displeasure to you, you say, okay, maybe, maybe not. You
Right.
express displeasure to me, we yell at each other, what have you. In her family, no, that's taboo. If you express displeasure, that's an insult. You're insulting that person. And I'm like, I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying what's on my, you know.
Those are
But
differences in culture. Sure.
if I could go back, I would explain that to myself. Look, don't say these things. Like you can express them, but like in a much more diplomatic way. Like don't just
Always true,
blurt
probably.
things out. Don't blurt things out. And actually
That's a good piece of advice. Don't blurt things.
something something I
Think,
need to hear today
think
as
about
well.
what you say before you say it several times. Yeah. Yeah.
But it feels kind of like it doesn't feel irreversible now, but it just feels like, you know, that would be something I would like to convey to myself or my or younger self is like you understand that this is forever and it's like it builds up more and more. So whatever you know, it's like gaining it's easy to gain weight, it's hard to lose weight. It's the same thing. It's like easy to build up resentments and problems. It's hard to get rid of them. So,
Mhm.
you know, limit them. Limit as much as you can.
Yeah, you
Limit
want to
them.
keep it
Not
down to the minimum, but I mean, I would also like if I were going to give marriage advice to myself, I would also add like, "Hey, bro, that's just gonna happen. You need a
that's
better
true.
plan. You need
Yeah.
to expect right because sometimes it can be all or not. Like I can't live with the idea that we're gonna drag some of this stuff with us to the end, and it's like, well, I mean, what if there's just no way around it?
Yeah.
I can't get rid of certain memories. So maybe we do have to drag some of it with us to the end. How can we drag it to the
Yeah.
finish line better?
Not if,
As
but
a team,
how. Yeah. Better.
right? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's I mean, it's easy to hand out advice, but even to myself, I wouldn't offer advice. It would be like, you have to work with her
Yeah.
as a team to figure out how to drag this stuff that you all created in one another to the end.
Yeah.
How are you? Like I told a couple yesterday. It's like, and this I'm just gonna say it. Like, one thing that we have to think about is like we're different people. We're gonna have differences, right? Maybe we don't. We agree that we're not gonna argue. We're not gonna fight because like it's not a courtroom. And if we fight each other, nobody wins. We can be passionate about what we're trying to communicate, but at the end of this
Hmm.
event that we're having with one another, call it conflict, call it the differences coming into view, right? You want to be able to look at one another and be like, "Hey, I'm really excited by you. You want to go spend some special time together." Like if that's the goal, right? Like I mean,
Mhm.
just if to frame it beforehand, like how do I want this thing to go? I want to have an interaction with you that leaves me so excited about being with you. I'd like to touch you maybe and do some sexual things when we're done, as opposed to like I just want to leave this house because
Yeah.
you're driving me insane, right? If we made
Yeah.
that the goal, it reframes things where it's like, oh, this is incomplete. I didn't do my job. Like I didn't talk to my partner in a way that leaves them attracted to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's I think that's very good because I didn't think about how fast her attraction to me would I just kind of assumed like, you know, girls aren't attracted to boys, so it doesn't matter anyways or something
That's an
like I'm
interesting
just not
idea, right? Like,
I'm not
where that,
attractive. It's not about attraction, but it is. Like
of
I
course
didn't
it is.
realize how little she could be attracted to me.
Well, it's not very, I mean, as a man, it's not very hard to do things that make ourselves extremely unattractive.
Yeah.
And we often think it's like, I need to be a high value man. I need to have a big truck or a fast car and a 6-figure job. And no, 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 no. That's actually not what most women find attractive. That's just not what
I,
it is.
yeah, you're right. I mean, like on a day to day basis,
You,
I think that's not what most wives find attractive.
most
I
women,
think like
seriously,
single, I think single women do find money attractive. Like I think they should. You don't think so? I think they do.
no, no, not at the end of the day.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a woman, but
I would
maybe you're right.
80-20 rule that one, man. I don't know. If
But
you're
I
kind
definitely
and
agree.
gentle and can listen and you're funny, you'll trump everybody. Like as a guy, if you can be funny,
Mhm.
a good listener, very
But
curious,
I mean, like on the level of like in the
consistent.
same level, like in the same level of like physical attractiveness to like cleavage to man is on par with money to women. Like it's superficial and it's not ultimately what they're looking for, but it is the thing that when you talk about attraction is mostly about like the lure, right? Is the catching of the eye, the flash.
Oh no, you got to keep them on the hook longer than that.
Well, that's why I said for like long-term stuff, yeah, you're right.
I mean, not even very
um
long. I mean, it's just this is. I don't know. I would just argue that it's closer to the average human nature that most women are are more interested in these other qualities and
yeah,
characteristics that are not superficial, and they're difficult to fake. They're difficult. They're definitely
yeah.
difficult to fake in the long run.
Oh man, for sure.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
No, I agree with you. Ultimately, I agree with you. I think
And dudes don't see, but like if I were going to give out advice to other dudes, not myself as a 20-year-old, because like this is probably I've held.
you were onto this early.
Yeah, I've been holding this stance for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it, yeah, like being a provider, that's important. But developing your character, developing your person
Yeah.
is a much more challenging task. And there's not a whole lot of like social scripts or other things in society that help reinforce like, oh, well, what if you practice just, being kind and
Right.
gentle and
Right.
curious and patient.
Yeah.
Um, it's not to say that
Well,
you can't be a big gorilla every once in a while when some situations require big gorilla stuff. Hulk smash kind of things.
yeah.
Those are very rare. Being disagreeable, like life generally doesn't require us to be disagreeable, but we find ourselves being disagreeable probably more often than we uh, should.
But
So it's like,
yeah,
I don't
I think life requires us to be disagreeable often.
know, maybe.
Um in the sense that like to stand up for ourselves, right? Like not disagreeable in the sense of like for the sake of being disagreeable or for selfishness sake, but I think there is a certain I think what you're talking about comes down to confidence. I think confidence is you're right. If this is what you're
Depends on
talking.
what you mean by that word. I,
Yeah,
I
confident
don't.
like I think someone who a man who knows who they are or at least enough to hold it together and do these things you're talking about. The gentleness to me gentleness and curiosity, these things have to come out of a sense of a solid self because I can't be out I can't consistently I can't keep it up, gentleness, kindness, curiosity. These are things that I can't keep up if I'm self-absorbed or even, anxious and self doubting all the time, insecure.
Yeah, people got to figure out that stuff too. What are we standing on? Who am I?
Yeah.
How does this whole thing work? Um, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the idea that anything anything in the past that I was ever disagreeable about, I could have said with some kind of firm kindness.
Hmm.
If I was clear, if I had real clarity, I could have expressed myself with firm kindness. Being emotionally disagreeable, which is often threatening to other people, like it can be unnerving. It throws other people off. I mean, strategically, one could do that for various purposes, but amongst people that you actually want to love and be friends with,
Yeah.
being emotionally disagreeable, I don't know. In my opinion, it's just completely unnecessary and
Hmm.
often counterproductive because, like, think about
Hmm.
people that are like consistently disagreeable in your life. You do not want to talk to them. You do not want to be
It's
intimate with
true.
them. Generally speaking, most people will give them a wide berth. Um,
This is like what I learned in, or I had a friend who's trying to teach me improv, and one of the main rules of improv, which I didn't realize, is, I think we've talked about this before, is never contradict the other person. You never say no. It's always yes, but what about this? Because it
right.
keeps it flowing. It keeps
And
it
yeah, yeah.
cooperative. Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, saying no. I mean, that is one thing I had to learn too, working with young men with disability, is not to get into power struggles, and that was difficult for me because I come from a like a disciplinary, authoritarian
right,
type. That's how we take care of problems, right?
right.
Like,
We do it military style.
yeah,
Yeah, command. There's hierarchy and command and control.
right.
Which works in certain situations, sure. But
I,
very few things are that hierarchical in that kind of command and control structure, right? Like, because what are you going to do in a situation where somebody could honestly go, "Yeah, I'm not doing that," and you're like, "Yeah, you are," and they're like, "I'm leaving. Have a good day.
mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Bye."
yeah, and it gets
No,
pretty.
you get back here. I'll throw you in the brig. No, bro, there's no brig. And if you touch me, like, it's gonna get real weird, real quick.
It's true.
You're gonna do what I tell you to do. Nah, as an adult, not really. Probably not.
Well, I got scratched in the face by a young man whose house I was sort of the manager over, and that was when I realized, like, I need a different approach.
Yeah, yeah. It's not this isn't working.
This
Yeah,
isn't that's the thing.
this
It's
is not
not working.
working. I gotta do
Yeah.
something different. Yeah.
Well, and so I think that that's why I thought I was a really good negotiator by the time I got married. Of course, I was young and thought I was best at everything, right? In my 20s. But
Sure. Yeah.
but it was one of the things that I thought I was had a certain command over. And what has consistently sort of thrown me for a loop is how my family sees me is very different from how everybody else sees me and how I see myself.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's hard to deal with. And if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would say, look, um, you it's going to be hard to control what, or the way your family sees you is going to be less about how what you think is good and more about what they think is good. And that's hard for me to do. That would be hard for my younger self to deal with. It's hard for me to deal with today.
Right. Like, I thought I had control over that. That's interesting. I don't.
Mhm.
I have almost no control. Actually,
Well,
I have no control over that.
and what my younger self I think would say is like, no, I mean that's what being a man in a family is about orchestrating that stuff, or being in command of that stuff,
Command and
right? When
control. It's not command and
Yeah.
control, right? As opposed to, like, how about we attend to ourselves,
Mm.
and do more show, less tell, um, keep an eye on the impact, not on my intentions.
Well,
Get stupid curious, like, right, which is another way of saying be very, very humble.
Yeah.
right? Like you
Well,
don't even know.
ironically, one of the most important things I should have known, I guess I couldn't have known, but if I could go back and tell myself,
Right.
is that actually being more having more of a complementarian attitude would be better. Is just thinking of it as less of like we're all in this together and more of you are the leader and you have to be sort of, there has to be a certain amount of it can't just fart and laugh and joke and yell and stuff around your family like you can everybody else in the world. There's certain amount of order that you have to establish and a certain amount of distance that you have to keep. I'm not completely convinced of that, so if you want to push back on that, it's fine. But it's
Well,
something that's sort of
there is
struggling
a
with now.
structuring, sure, yeah. Like, and I mean that leadership piece is interesting because I mean sometimes I think people get a very authoritative command control kind of mindset, right? Like if I
Mhm.
just say it, then it will become that.
Yeah, but
That's
that's
not
sort
the
of
way people work,
immature, right?
right? That's not really the way people work. And when you
Yeah,
attempt to use violence or force or coercion or manipulation or whatever to create that,
you lose leadership
it
when you do that.
backfires and it creates a whole
Yeah,
other host of issues as
yeah,
opposed to like a real simple notion of like leadership by example where it's like, okay, I'm going like the way that I lead here is by setting the example, by setting the tone, by building trust, right? Like not
yeah,
demanding it, but actually building it, right? I'm a culture builder. So the way that I'm going to build my culture in my house is actually by demonstrating it, by
yeah,
being it. They're watching me and they're
yeah.
making their own conclusions based on what they see and hear
Well,
holistically.
and there's like a synergy in it too, right? Because you're not building something that is only observable. It's patterns,
Yes,
it's ways of life. It
yes,
is, it is you're building systems in your house. At least I'm building systems in my
yeah.
house that are observable and mimicable, as far as like my example, but also it's you're putting paths in the jungle so that people can get through.
Mhm.
Well, so back to the marriage part.
Back to being in a
you
long
know
term
um
relationship to the death with a woman.
yeah, to the
Yeah,
death,
to the death.
or to the life, right?
Oh no,
Eternal
it's
life.
still yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, there's a sense in which like till you die,
Yeah, forever. um
maybe.
we can get into
I'll argue with people.
eschatology later. But what was there anything else, as we're sort of wrapping up here, we got about 7 minutes left, what was there anything else that you would convey to your younger self, something that has come up you thought about while we're talking about your marriage or about your wife, or neither?
No, I'm still a big fan of the notion of like the non advice of like, look, I'm not gonna tell you a whole lot here, but I want you to be real humble and real curious and real careful.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, careful, that's an interesting word, because we
Compassion.
want to give care, but we also want to be careful.
Right, like move slow,
Mm,
slow it down, Bucko. Um,
mm,
yeah,
careful. I should
careful.
use that word more often. I need to be more
Yeah, take
careful.
care. Be more careful.
Yeah.
Measure twice, cut once, kind of a deal. Um,
Mm. Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm. Well, I think that's good.
yeah, No, I suppose there's a lot in there.
But in the measure once, in the measure twice, cut once aspect of it, like, how does that work on a practical basis? Like, if you're going back and looking at through the years, the last, what is it, 30 years or so, 25 years, what um what are the instances where it would have been better? Like, what is a like a real in real concrete terms to cut to measure twice and cut once?
Well, I mean, I think just thinking about what I say a couple times before I say it's not a bad idea. I mean,
Yeah.
getting clear about what you're trying to communicate and what we want to get out of this interaction that we're having, right? Because,
Mm.
like if I go home and I'm like, man, I've just had a bad day and I just want to talk about it
Mm.
because I want to process it I want to have this person who's really important to me, my wife, process this with me. It's kind of self-focused, like, hey friend, I'd like to use you to listen so I feel
Mm.
better about my crappy day. Is different
Mm.
than, hey, we have a thing out in the future where we're going to have to make a decision, and let's do some problem solving and data collection and brainstorming about that, versus, hey, love of my life, um, person I'm going to drag to the end. I've been thinking, and there's some things I've learned about myself, and I want to share them with you.
Mm.
These are all like the outcome is different. The desired outcome is different, and oftentimes I think a lot of people, and myself included in the past, approach everything as a problem solving conversation.
Mm.
Um, it's not.
Mm. Because as men, we're sort of wired to want to problem solve, right?
I think it's more of a cultural script. I don't think we're wired to problem solve. I think
Mm.
I honestly think it's more of a social cultural um, indoctrination than is anything else. Because we keep repeating that. Like, men are wired to problem solve. I know plenty of women that like to problem solve, but that's because they grew up in cultures where that's
Yeah.
considered, efficiency is more important than intimacy, right? That's a cultural choice. That's a value. That's not a biological reality. Um,
I don't
in my
know. I don't know. Oh, I see what you're saying, and I accept that there's a big cultural piece, and I wonder if there is something sort of, you know, that are different between men and women. That men are much more practical in terms of wanting to see things done, whereas women, and not all women, not all men, but
right,
typically women want to solve it, if
giant
they
scale,
are problem solvers, through relationships. Men want to solve it with a hammer, like, it's different.
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard that story before. I'm just not convinced that it's
Yeah, I'm
as
sure you have. Yeah.
I right. I'm like, yeah, that just sounds like something that somebody else has said and they heard from somebody else, right?
Well, I
That,
feel it in myself. I mean, I do. I mean, and to me it makes sense
right.
on a certain level. Like, I would rather fight it out with my fists than talk it out. I
Well, that's
would.
not building or fixing anything. That's just being
Right, right.
violent, right?
Well,
I mean,
no,
violence
I
does solve some problems, but probably not the
yeah.
ones you're thinking of, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like,
I'll
in
stop a
marriage, right?
bank
You're not gonna
robbery that
you're
way.
huh?
I can stop being mugged that way, right? But I'm not going to get consensus from somebody that way. I can get compliance that way,
Yeah.
but I won't get consensus. I really won't get like real the gift of somebody's free choice that way.
Right. I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm just saying I believe, though, that that is
Okay, right.
how we're wired. Like, I think, there's something. Now, I'm much more relational than, sometimes, than Chanda, my wife. However, it does come down to, like, how we see it. Like, I want practical solutions where she wants emotional solutions often. And I do think that that is a difference between men and women. in general, not always like, I mean, it's very messy, but I think on some level, one of it, part of it is because of the nurturing nature of a woman, that the tools that she has, that God's given her, have a lot to do with solving problems with a fragile baby. Whereas a man, the tools that have been given to him, since he's not going to be carrying that baby for big portion of the early stages of uh he's got to go out there and bang rocks together to make food.
It's an interesting um, metaphor, banging rocks together to make food. I'm gonna I'm gonna die on the hill. That just sounds like some story you're repeating that you heard from somebody else. I,
I think it's a story. Yeah.
I think the
I
term
mean,
that I would take the most umbrage with is wiring. Yes, I think that certainly men and women are gifted biologically in different ways. That is a fact. But not in the sense that, like, women, I mean, other than particular sexual organs, that women have something psychologically that men do not have. That's just not a fact. And I think one of the things that, because it is a gross oversimplification, in my opinion, like, you can't fix a human problem and not deal with emotions without creating some other problem, which means you've not really fixed anything. You just made a different problem. Right. So to not be able to do something holistically that deals with both the relationships between people and matter, right? Like stuff, food, sticks, bricks, right? But I mean, all I got to do is throw in the word politics, and we can have an endless conversation about the realm of men and ideas and emotions and problem solving that has been historically the realm of men for thousands of years.
Yeah,
Right?
but see, that's why I think that I see, that's one of the reasons I believe that men do better in politics, is because they see each other as objects. In politics, if you're able to see people as pieces, you're a much better politician. If you see somebody as a
Define
friend,
good politician.
well, successful politician.
Again, effectiveness is not the same thing as goodness.
Well, I completely agree, but I mean, if we could get into the whole idea of whether or not politics is
Again,
good.
like, advice I would give to myself as a younger person is,
Yeah.
don't buy into the religion of effectiveness. Do not buy into the modern lies. Because you cannot read the ancients, you cannot read anyone prior to 1600 and maintain this efficiency mindset. Effectiveness and efficiency is not the highest value. So
I definitely agree with that.
Traditionally.
Yeah.
And
but I don't think
careful.
I don't think my younger self would have had any problem with that.
Right.
I needed more. I would need more advice to be more effective. I wish I had been way more effective. I wish I had strived more for excellence rather than sort of this, relational. We're all in this together. We're all sort of like, trying to reach, trying to follow God's will. Which I mean, I do still believe that, but I feel like I missed a piece. I wish somebody had said, and I think my father and other people did say, like, you need to get on the ball and be more effective.
Effective at what?
Anything. One thing rather than multiple. Like focus.
Well, okay.
And,
but notice that's not effectiveness. That's focus. That's single-mindedness, right? Like, it's persistent.
What is? I mean,
one thing.
But that's apples and oranges. I mean, effectiveness is a result. Focus is a means to an end, right?
Well, so I mean, think about modern society. Like we value effectiveness. We place the notion of effectiveness at a higher value than other values, and it changes the entire hierarchy of values. So,
What? Like, what do you mean?
right, like profits over people. I'll use that one as an example, right?
Okay.
But again, that's objects over persons.
Hmm.
Um, if it's like I in the past I was not effective in say acquiring wealth or property or making a social like effectiveness in what like effectiveness by itself has to have a goal, but we
Hmm.
in the last since the industrial revolution, right, like effectiveness efficiency is a value that gets placed higher than things like taking time off of work, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we
yeah.
use American culture as an example. Like, I know people all the time they've got paid time off and they don't use it
Hmm.
because they value their place at work more highly than they do their own bodies or families.
Yeah.
That's a value choice. That's a priority
I
choice
mean, maybe. I mean, you
backed
know
by a
as well as
story.
I do, sometimes that stuff gets into like escapism and
But it's
finding their
reinforced.
identity in
It's
that job.
reinforced by
And
social story. It's reinforced by these value hierarchies and the stories that we tell ourselves. Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
so I don't know. I'm just throwing that one.
Yeah, I think that's valid.
But yeah, we can always be more effective as far as like hit the target. What's the target?
Yes.
Sure.
Finding a target. Yeah, yeah.
Some targets are better than other targets. That's all right. Um,
Mhm. Mhm. That is something that that may be a good topic for the next time. What we tell our younger selves. I Something about finding a target, focus and finding a target. That I think that could be somewhere we something we could discuss. And as always, we get into other
all kinds.
things because you're such an interesting guy to talk to, Josh, and I appreciate you taking your lunch
It's
as I take
always
my
enjoying
lunch.
with you.
And thank you those of you who tuned in. Christian Corbett, appreciate you leaving a like, man, a heart there.
Little heart.
And do we have any? Christina Veach. Not sure who that is. I gotta look at. I would say that estrogen and testosterone affects the brains differently, which affects how the brain functions with problem solving. The amount
It
of each
influences.
chemical hormone in the brain of each going to differ is going to differ per each person. I think that's a pretty good point.
That's in there. It's a
And
factor.
and I think that's where when you say like some of the storytelling or cultural storytelling, what have
Yeah.
you. Oh yeah. Hey Christina, Caleb's fiance. Thank you for tuning in. That's a good. Thanks for commenting. That's a good comment. But don't you think that there is like a physical reality, a chemical reality that's different in both, and that testosterone may lend? That's why I brought up like sort of using my fists
Well,
when
sure.
really.
Yeah, my wife's going through perimenopause. She wants to start a fight club or fight people out in front of the Hobby Lobby because her testosterone is a little higher than it typically is. Sure.
Yeah, but I'm saying over a wide swath of relational
It's not an
time.
either or. We both have both, so whatever.
Well,
And the differences are real, but I
yeah,
think oftentimes it's very easy for people to get very binary about
I
something
agree.
that biologically is not really binary. And in fact, when we're operating at our highest, it's when we're doing both.
Well,
When
but
we're
but see, I
people
think you're
and
talking. Could it
objects.
be that you're talking more in terms of the ideal, And I'm talking more in terms of, just what is. Like, it could be, I mean, couldn't it be that we come from a place that's broken, where we are more influenced by testosterone and they're
Well, of
more
course we
influenced by
start in
estrogen?
immaturity, but who wants to stay there?
Well, and I guess I'm not saying that we want to stay there, but I think
Right.
acknowledging it, don't you think acknowledging it sort of helps us understand what's going on in
Well, the
situations?
problem with the story is it's like, well, this is the way you naturally are, and if we anchor in that story, then people are like, well, I'm just being myself. Why would I
Right. But
grow into something more complex and integrated if I'm just a caveman and I just need to go beat the sticks, I gotta go beat rocks together. No, you actually have to take care of people and build stuff.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean, with you, I'm there, but that
right,
is the message that I mean, I think that's where the lie is, that we just are who we are, like the heart
right,
wants what it wants or whatever. Yeah, that's not what I'm
right.
saying. I'm saying that I think it's good to sort of understand who we are so that we can move away from it. Like, if we're all everything, then why change? It's actually more impetus to change if I kind of know that I'm a certain way.
Yes, but the story is often I'm wired this way, right? Which is a statement of identity, and
So the why,
it'll anchor
that's
people.
why I get
Yeah,
it.
right,
Okay, that's
right.
why you
As
don't like the
opposed to like,
wired.
this is my
Like, I can't get out of
biology.
this.
This is my biology, and maturity is actually me transcending it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. It's like when people say stuff about this is how I was born.
Sure,
Well,
or I'm an angry person. That's just the way I
alcoholics may
am.
have been born that way. That doesn't mean you stay an
Right. I'm
alcoholic,
a
right?
messy
Yeah.
person. That's just the way I am.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
whatever person. That's just the way. Why are you trying to change me? Uh,
I'm glad. Okay, I'm glad. Thank you, Christina, for taking the issue longer,
it's
because I
okay.
did.
Yeah, it's always
I
good.
think I understand more what you're saying now, and I totally agree with you. Like, I don't want to get behind the message that this is how we are, this is how we're born, and
And
that's
biological realities are real. Yeah, like dudes are dangerous
yeah,
because they got a lot of testosterone. Like
yeah.
live, if I like play with the language a little bit, like I'm a person with more testosterone than 50 some odd percent of the other part of the population, and it causes problems. It causes real
Mm,
challenges. Right? There's a
mm,
reason why guys are super violent
mhm.
compared to the people that don't have as much testosterone. Right? If you don't have gun, it's a thing. It's a real thing. It's a
It
real
is a thing,
thing.
and it is complicated. I agree.
And if you have too much of it, it's a problem. If you have too little of it, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, I think that's a good place to end.
you just keep going. Keep going. You gotta go back to work.
You and I could. I mean, we've been doing this for years. We could probably talk for another 2 hours. So
Days. Yeah.
we will. We'll. I got to get back to work, and sure you got things to do. So we'll
What
continue this next week.
sounds like a plan.
Thank
Lord
you,
willing, the
Christina.
creek don't
For
rise. Thank you, Christina.
yeah. We'll see you guys next week.